Recording. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. If you can see me, if you can hear me. I'm live. If you're watching live, comment live. All right. If you're watching live, comment live. If you're watching the replay, definitely comment replay. Who is here? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about pivots. Because I believe like everybody is kind of like, should I not? Did I need to, do I need to go like, do I need to pivot, Jay? Like, what's up? If this is your first time joining me on a live, I'm Coach Jay. They call me Coach Jay. I am at the core business coach, but I'm also I specialize in leadership content and messaging. And I just want people to like, especially women, I really want women to be amazing and to have a lifestyle that supports their womanhood. And we do that by way of having e-learning businesses where we can help people all over the world and not feel this limitation to sell our time back to the 9 to 5, but that we can also teach, because I do believe education, intuitive leadership. I do believe that we have so many different spiritual gifts, and women for sure are really, really good at strategizing, planning, and of course, teaching concepts, doing more spiritual attribute types of work that includes, but not limited to, writing. Like I said, putting things together. Like, we're really good at things like that. We're really good at showing people how to do certain things. But when it comes down to, clarity, when it comes down to making decisions, we tend to have issues in that area. But like I said, if you are watching me live right at this moment, definitely comment replay, give me some ones, let me know that you're here. That's all I ask, is that you guys um definitely help me with the algorithm, because as we know, this is how social media works. And I always say that if people are looking forward to me bringing some value to the marketplace or bring some value to them, then I definitely would love for them to also express their value back to me by just either commenting or giving me some emojis, so that we can pump the algorithm. Because pumping the algorithm, as we know, is about getting the people out there. We got to get the reach out there. So anyway, anywho, this is not a paid class, as you know. So, and of course, as I'm doing this while you're going live, like if you're going live and you are, creating content or whatnot, like encourage your community to engage. I think that that's one thing too, is that a lot of times we get on here and we just kind of, just start talking. But I do think that we're at this point now that, we expect people to give that transactional value back to us. And I think that's very important because, to get on here, often, especially now these days, it does take energetic exchange. So if you can't bring currency, at least bring your likes, at least bring your loves, at least bring your comments. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started today. This is not going to be such a huge preach. Usually I get on here and I'm hardcore with the mindset. I'm hardcore with soul, and telling us what we need to be getting done and skills and stuff. But I know today I'm going to have a mixture of both. Mixture of both. And we're going to talk about pivots because obviously we're in very interesting times where it does call for us to be a little bit more bold, a little bit more clarified, and just really just kind of like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I doing? Where am I going? What's the predictions? Like, what does that look like? Right. So pivots when we talk about pivots in business, right, we are generally talking about the changes, right? Fundamental change. Where and when I think of pivots, I'll go back to 2020, right? When all the stuff was going down 2020 to 2021. Hey, Veronica. Hey, Sharita. When we were talking about pivots back then, like we saw a lot of businesses, companies, restaurants, all kinds of industries go through hard pivots. Now, remember that? Even schools, workplace, everybody was going through a hard pivot. We were, restaurants that were generally sitting down to eat. You go in a restaurant and you sit down, and during the, pandemic, we saw a lot of people like going from that to doing orders online. So we saw school systems that was, all about coming into the school, going to class, and everybody, especially in Tennessee, a lot of people like shifted and went online. So we saw that. And then business owners, we saw people that were doing a lot of in-person stuff, in-person workshops and things of that nature, VIP days, etc. A lot of people shifted all of that online. Online businesses are not like stranger to the industry, but we saw a lot more of that by force as opposed to by choice, right? So that's kind of like, moving into looking at the changes of the business, especially in the coaching industry, in the e-learning industry, online business industry. We see a lot of people like kind of not knowing how to move. And we see a lot of people returning back to the business realm. We saw a lot of people quit the marketplace. We saw a lot of people say they gave up, they were done. I was one of those people where I was like, I'm not giving up nothing. I'm not giving up nothing. And you can call it whatever you want to call it. But I was like, I'm going to figure this out. Like, I'm not scared of pivots, right? And a lot of people got nervous about pivots because they didn't do the legwork before, and they didn't do the work through the pivot so they get to the other side of the pivot, right? And those are things that are not often talked about in the online industry or in the industries of entrepreneurship at large, because a lot of people just want people to just pay them, right? They just want people to pay them. Like, I don't care. Just as soon as I change my mind, people need to pay me. That's not always going to be the case. And I think we need to just kind of relax our bodies about that. If you're just coming in, type live in the comments. Let me know you're here. Don't be a stranger. Let me know. Hey, Tanika. When we decide to pivot, right? It's a way that we were serving, whether it was our niche that had to change, whether it was the way that we were delivering had to change. Like, for example, you saw a lot of, I'm very transparent. Let's just go there. We saw a lot of high ticket coaches, right? That was just doing straight high ticket. And then they went to diversification mode. I was one of them. It was scary at first because you're used to doing things a certain way. But then as time went on, you start to get a little bit of inkling, like, hey, what's going on over here? Like, what's going on with the people? And you started to see a market sophistication happening, right? So people that were once investing hard cash all the time into coaches, mentors, course creators, marketing specialists, marketers, in order to do whatever they wanted done, it wasn't nothing to drop, $2, $5, $7, $10, $15, $30,000 for what you desire per the messaging and the benefits of working with that person, right? The outcome, the transformation. Dare I even say, going here, the transfiguration that you encountered on the other side of the game, right? But as that started to happen, we started to see a lot more people get enthused by all of these people coming in. And so a lot of people started to get in the game and saying, like, I help people make money too. And I help people do this and I help people do that. So you had a lot of people that were inexperienced getting in the game, right? Take a stab at the game, getting people's money and trying their best to show them what to do, and then a lot of people getting burned in the process. That's in the industry, period, right? So you see doctors doing that, you see lawyers doing that. Like, you got some bad apples. However, you had people with integrity that decided to stay in the game. Every client you can't make happy, but what you can do is be in your integrity about your business, right? So anyway, pivots. What we started to see was a lot of high ticket coaches either quit because they were afraid to pivot, because they were used to bigger payments, they were used to less clients. Check this out: less clients, bigger payments, right? And when you have large payments and slimmer clients, right, there's more up-leveled stability. That's the feeling of it anyway. Does it make sense? Everybody gets very comfortable right there, but it's also very high stress because you have to make sure that you're doing the delivery thereof, right? And many times we see a lot of people overworking themselves at that high ticket level and not understanding how to shift or change if necessary because they're used to those types of payments. And then on top of that, y'all, when you're doing high ticket, you don't have to have a large audience. You don't have to have a big email list. You don't have to have a big like audience of sorts, right? You just need to have a really good offer. Amen, somebody. Have a really, really good offer, get results, and rinse and repeat. However, let's just go there. Because when the market starts marketing, okay, when the market starts acting a little aloof, and more people start to get out into the marketplace and they start to have these experiences that they're sharing, and which is okay. I think that that's completely fine. Everybody has like this is one of the rules of business. Bad news travels farther than good news, right? So when you have a bad experience with someone, a restaurant, a coach, a service provider, whoever, guess what happens? You're gonna go and tell, like, I can't believe these people did me like this. I can't believe I paid all this money and this is what happened. This is, I had the appointment here, or I had this experience, right? Did the chat stop working? Y'all let me know that you hear. It happens, right? And so you have people that are people that have been burned by the industry, and that's going to be one of the biggest things, is that they're getting to the or I forgot to say this part, or you have people that have invested, right? And then they just didn't, they underestimated the amount of tenacity and actions that you needed to take in order to get the result. Because I've even seen it too. A lot of people get into programs, and even in my experiences of being in masterminds before, people came in and thought that it was just going to be like, I get paid tomorrow, or I get a paying client tomorrow. That's not the case if you don't have an audience or you have zero skills. You got to have skills, baby. And a lot of that is tied to how, like, I know what to do. I know how to do my work. But when it comes down to getting the right people into my business, getting the right people into my pipeline, getting the right people into my space, that's when I have issues. Because the question is not, can you do the work? The question is, can you get the people to see your work and be changed by the work that you do? That's good right there. So pivots, fundamental changes, right? So fundamental changes. I've had clients that come through my programs over time and to pivot successfully, but also I always tell clients that because you are pivoting, it's going to take time because you haven't done this before. You haven't presented yourself to your audience or to your community in this way. So what happens is that sometimes we get impatient about the pivot instead of saying, okay, this is a brand new garden that I'm planting. It's almost like I'm going into a garden and I was doing all grain, potatoes, I was doing corn, and that's what I was harvesting. Like that was all my garden was. I got very good at it. I got very good at what potatoes, red potatoes, white potatoes, red, I knew Idaho potatoes. I knew how to plant potatoes really well over time, because once you do, this is good right here. Once you are able to do something masterfully over time, you begin to do it with excellence. It's like you're not perfect, but you do it with a level of excellence because you know the expertise behind the seed, the culture, where the best vendors, the pricing, the relationships that you've built over these potatoes, over the grain, over the corn. You know exactly who to go to. You're very specialized in this types of harvest, right? So I sit one day because people stop buying a lot of my potatoes, right? So vendors start to go, people ain't buying as much corn. People ain't buying that much. But now people are saying, wow, it seems like things are getting better with spinach and butter lettuce and, you know, like they're doing really well over there in the cauliflower section. And you're looking like, I've been wanting to do spinach because I'm getting tired of potatoes. I'm getting a little tired of, planting all this corn. I kind of want to do something else, right? And you start to have these thoughts about like, are people burnt out from corn? Are people burnt out from potatoes? And then you start to get burnt out on potatoes because maybe the potatoes aren't fun anymore. You're tired of looking at the bland garden that you have. You're like, man, I need a little more color out here. I need more diversification. I need something pretty to look at, and maybe something a little bit more healthy. So guess what you do one day? You get up and you say, you know what? Forget it. We're finna just start a whole nother garden. Like, just tell all your people, like, hey, you know what? We're finna change up. This is what we're about to do. Guess what happens? You pluck everything up out the garden. You be like, I'm done. Let me get all the potatoes. We're gonna throw them all in the trash. We're gonna get the grain, we're gonna get the corn, and we're done. We're just gonna get it up and we're just gonna throw it away. Okay, so now we gotta learn how to plant butter lettuce and spinach and kale. Now we have to start learning the culture behind how to do that. We gotta start getting to know different vendors and suppliers, and how, and new customers. Like, what grocery stores do we need to start creating relationships with? Because we are new at doing this, and not brand new, but it's not that you're brand new at planting and gardening, and you're probably new at doing something different that you've never done before, which is, I went from potatoes for 5, 10, 7, 10 years to now I'm planting spinach and whatever, because it's based off my grandfather. My grandmother used to plant spinach, and I know how to do it. I just got to remember. I just got to go back and review some stuff, right? Because it's not that it's so unfamiliar that it's a complete hard pivot, but it's a softer pivot where you are good, skills, which is gardening, but you just got to learn the new way of planting something different. Amen, somebody. So I get the butter lettuce stuff, right? I get am I freezing? Is this making sense? Is this making sense to you? I'm just saying, because a lot of us, we ignore that the pivot is going to take time. It's going to take time. So what does that mean? I go and get the stuff for the butter lettuce. I go and get the spinach. I go and get all the cauliflower, right? I'm getting the ground different. So what is happening is that now I have to learn the type of soil, because the soil that I was doing potatoes and all that, I had to change it up. The soil got to be a little different. You know, the seed is going to be different. The way we water and the frequency is different, right? Of how we're harvesting, as opposed to when we did potatoes. Maybe potatoes took, I don't know, and I don't know gardening like that. So excuse me if I get it wrong. If potatoes took 4 weeks, but butter lettuce takes 3, you know, or potatoes took 2 months and butter lettuce takes 30 days, there has to be a difference, right? Or butter lettuce takes longer than potatoes. All those things have to be factored in to the pivot, right? Because I'm doing something new from a business standpoint. So if I'm pivoting, it's going to take more patience than it did before because it's something new. New relationships have to be built. New expectations have to be set. Come on, somebody. I got to realign my purpose, my values, my goals, my personal values, my personal goals, in addition to the business goals and the strategies and objectives in order to get this pivot going. Because if I don't stay focused on why I'm doing this, then I'm going to always go and revert back because it's not happening fast enough for me. So I have to go back to potatoes because I don't have patience, right? It takes patience and you got to stay steady. Let's go there. Let's go there. I told y'all a long time ago, for those of you who were listening, I told y'all that you're going to have to start building a community. If you're a coach, you know, a consultant that favors B2C, or a lot of your audience is a B2C slash, you know, business to consumer type of business, which means you're not going after business entities on a larger scale. You're going to people, maybe entrepreneurs or leaders or experts or whoever. You're going after people that already have some level of understanding of what they want, right? So that's the B2C level. B2B is more entity wise, like, you know, you're going to banks or you're going to grocery stores or restaurants or attorneys with law firms, established agencies, right? Okay, so that's B2B. But going back to B2C, because you are building people, one person at a time, one soul at a time. I told y'all, we're going into places where you're going to have to build community. I told y'all that. I told you. And you're going to have to be consistent in building that community. You're going to have to be consistent in that. Because I'm going to tell you this, a lot of people connect with you on different levels, right? They connect with you if you are, you know, Jay, I want to, you know, do more of this, but this is holding me back. Okay. So you need a way to get that person into a space, get into moving in the community so that they can listen to what you're saying and the perception that you have about their problem. Absolutely, patience and dedication. So y'all are coming, a lot of people are coming in or returning back to a marketplace that has been savagely disrupted. There's a lot of disruption, there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of hurt feelings. There's a lot of emotional turbulence that is in the marketplace right now. And you're going to have to make a decision if you are going to lean into that or you're going to quit. And a lot of that is self-parenting. You got to understand diversification of your offers. I talk about that too. You're going to have to diversify. You're going to have to understand, do I have the capacity to do this type of offer? Because if I'm only doing high ticket right now, then I have to be okay with going after the affluent. And if I don't feel like I have the confidence to go and have conversations of that caliber with the affluent, which means what? These people are already in a self-transcended state. They're already good. They're not struggling with anything. I told you that many times a lot of us are scared to go after that type of person because we don't want to look like a fraud. We don't look like we don't know anything, when actuality, this person is looking for you to be the expert in something that they either don't have time to do or they want to do or learn. Because affluent people have skill gaps too. I've worked with people that pay me tens and thousands of dollars. And they, sometimes they have trouble. Like I had a client that was an attorney. She was going from, I believe it was like $25,000, $30,000 a month. She wanted to go to 50, 60, 70,000. And we got her there. And she had a whole team, a whole staff in her law firm. I used to go to a law firm and sit with her and do sessions. But these came by way of me doing the work beforehand, because if you would have asked me 2019, could I go to somebody and an attorney of sorts and say, oh gosh, I don't know if I can do that. Yes, you can. Absolutely. But you need to know how the messaging, how you show up is very different than what you were doing before. Your messaging has to be absolutely different. And there's a different strategy. You can't go to nobody affluent and talking about you struggling to pay your bills. No, you can't. I can't talk to folk like that because they already self-actualized. You see what I'm saying? So if I'm doing high ticket only, if I'm only doing high ticket, I'm, $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 for offers, then I can't talk to everybody. I have to spend more time having conversations of people of higher caliber and stay up there. Because if I start mixing in stuff a whole lot, then that takes diversification of messaging. But you can do it. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm not saying that that's impossible, because I'm doing it. I have high ticket and I have lower ticket, but I understand the strategy, because high ticket and lower ticket takes different strategies. Lower end clients, and when I say lower end, I'm not talking about the person, I'm talking about the price point. So price points, are you looking at $27, $25, $39, $100, $200, $3,000, $5,000? You're looking at the scale. Like the further I go up, the higher I go up, there's a different strategy that has to take place. So which means what? If I'm doing higher ticket clients, I'm doing more sales calls. I'm having more meetings. I'm having more high level strategy proposal meetings than I am on a lower ticket level. Lower ticket is more volume and value. It depends on what you're selling. So if y'all are talking about, I just want to offer, this, okay, that's fine, but you got to understand how this works. Because if you're going to have low ticket prices, if you're going to have lower ticket offers, if you're going to have a lower price, if you want to say, I just want to offer, $200 sessions. Okay, do you know what the $200 sessions mean? That's a lot of energy that you're giving out for 90 minutes for $200. And you're going to have volume. Do you have that? No. Okay, so then you need to build a community, boo. I don't care how many times you go viral. You got to have a community that's hot and ready to buy. If you got a $47, $99 course, I'm going to need for you to understand that you're going to be selling your booty off. You're going to be posting content multiple times a day. You're going to be trying to get organic reach, because if the people that you have right now are not buying anything that you have, you need to go get new people. You don't need to consistently create new products and new services. You just need to have a library of stuff that's good and ready to go. And you need to just get your booty out there and start talking. You need to get them DMs. You need to have conversations with people, and you need to get them into your world. How are you doing that? You're doing that by way of what? Content, messaging. You need volume. You can't have a $1,000 service or program, or and then you mad at the end of the month because you only sold one thing, and that's just somebody that was being nice to you and wanted to buy. No, that's you gotta run the business. Why aren't you building a community? I'm just telling you. I'm just saying. Am I making sense? You got to build a community. Why aren't you building a community? Well, I have built, I got a community, but they're just not buying it. You need to get some more buyers in, or you need to fix your messaging. Because maybe people came to you because you did a piece of content that was about something totally different that resonated with them. And now you're talking about something else and people don't resonate with that. But that's how you got them. I told y'all, people have low attention spans. Attention spans are at all-time low. It is lower than a squirrel. Human attention is lower than a squirrel. So if you are not trying to capture people's attention in that piece of content, I'm sorry. I get people all the time now in my inbox like, man, your content is so good. It's so elevated. You know why? Do you know why? Because I understand the psychology. This ain't emotional. It's psychology. You got to know what you're doing, and you got to practice. Practice makes perfect. If people are not moving, if they're not following you, if they are not coming into your world or email list or signing up for something, it's something off about your messaging, and it's something off about your content. And then you want to pivot, and anytime you're pivoting, you're going to have to understand that there is a season where in the interim, you're going to have to get connected with people that are in alignment to what you want to do now. That takes time because it's a new person. I told y'all, high ticket. Listen to me, high ticket. Only you're looking at about 45 to 90 days to signing your first client on average. It's quicker when you have a warm audience though, and you've already been kind of doing something and you just pivot into a very structured expertise way. Then they can say, okay, this person is at a next level. Let me go ahead and sign up. You have to have a strategy, and you got to have patience. And you're going to have to secure yourself in the midst of the pivot. So in the midst of the pivot, I always advise my clients, do what you need to do to make money as you support yourself through the pivot, because you still have to remain at a level of patience. And patience takes time when you're going through a pivot, but at some point you're going to have to cut everything off from the old and move into the new, right? So even with me, when I went through a series of when I went through the pivot, what was that, 2022? When I went through my pivot from high ticket to diversification, which I was on paid workshops and all of that, that was by way of me testing out things. But I was so nervous about doing it because everybody knew me at this level. And psychologically, it can mess with you, because if you're doing lower ticket things, people start to question, like, why is she doing that? She must don't have any money. Or, these are thoughts that go through your mind. And I'm like, I don't want people to think that I don't have any money. It's just that I'm shifting the audience because I recognize things have changed. And there's more of an ascension as opposed to what it was before when it was just high ticket. You don't have to have a lot of trust. You see what I'm saying? Like the trust was really, really straight and narrow at the beginning. Yep, Sharita. Yeah, true. Absolutely. But if you're going into a pivot, you're going to have to give people time to catch up to what you're doing. And many times the audience that you had before are not going to resonate with you in where you're going. So you got to ask yourself, why am I doing this pivot? Am I doing this pivot because of me? Is because I need money and I want to get paid more? Or do I want to pivot because I want to do something I'm more passionate about? I see myself doing this more. What does that look like? And if I'm going to have a diversification model, like an e-learning model, which is in a scalable program with courses, with master classes, in integrating more live view, right? And a paid wall. What does that look like, right? And do I have the capacity to do all these things? What's the cutoff? Who's my next client? Because if my dream client, if it is, if I had a high ticket program only, but I can have potential dream clients when I diversify. So when I diversify, I'm getting clients at different levels. And I'm also watching them to see if they fit the bill to work with me at the next level. Can they do this? Because I watch who finishes things. I watch who stands the test of time for things. I watch who comes in and quits and or goes off the radar and I don't see them no more. I watch all that. And you as the service as a subject matter expert, you have to start looking at trends and looking at behaviors. Everything is not an attack. Amen. You are the expert in this and you have to learn psychology and you have to learn the behaviors. But if you're not out there in the trenches and being a researcher, because the way you approach business has to also change if you're going to pivot, because now you have to turn into a researcher. It wasn't just a service provider anymore. Now you're a researcher. Now you're a person who is an analyst. Now you're a developer. You're actually creating a whole science behind the methods that you are teaching your clients, and you're watching those who run. I just posted last night that the Daily Payday course is rolling out. That course has been on ice for a year. I never officially rolled out an entire course. I've put out like lead magnets or case studies regarding the Daily Payday. And I've had different small beta clients that come in. But I had to have data before I launched the thing. See, that's another thing too. Everything that I teach per se is not just about, oh, can Jay do it? Because if you know me, I don't bring in clients that do what I do. I don't teach what I do. I ask them, what type of life do you want? And we build a business model around what you want. And I give you the pros and the cons and awareness of the ups and the downs and the pros and the cons. If you do it like this, and this is what you need to be doing on the front end so that you can get your clients. The core of what I do is I have an e-learning business, because most coaches, most strategists, most consultants, most service providers, they do teach. They do have an educational leg to what they do. So I have to make sure that what you are doing, does it match up to the life you want to live? I have clients that love one-on-ones and they absolutely love them. I tell them you can't scale with it, but you got to scale in another area. Whether you got to scale on the lead generation, you're going to have to find a way to scale with your content. You got to find a way. And you're going to have to up that price on that one-on-one, because that one-on-one is what keeps your business going. And if you know you have limited scalability, then you're going to have to pivot in other areas of your business and the operations and the strategies on the front end and the back end, so that you can spend more time working with your clients, which should be at a higher level price point. And they should be on retainers. Does that make sense? However, if you want to do courses, if you want to do a membership, if you want to do all this little itty bitty stuff, it's going to take you having volume. So, for example, like the payday intensive, the daily payday intensive, is more so focused on building your audience so that you can sell your course library and have it set up in a way where people are coming in and they are getting the help that they need, and you're getting transactions every day. We're getting to a level where I'm teaching that. I'm teaching that women need to be paid every day. And Latoya slash L commented yesterday. She was one of the beta clients for the daily payday intensive. She was making, she currently still is gunning it, but she didn't have to use ads. She didn't have to use webinars and all this other stuff. She used herself, her content, her voice to sell her offers. And people were coming in. People are inquiring, but you got to have the bandwidth, and you got to stay the course. So the daily payday intensive are people that are coming into the program for 8 weeks and learning how to put all this together so they can start the work and putting it on out there. Which way is this way? So that takes work. That takes work. You're learning and you're implementing as you go, and then you still have access to that program after you leave. So that's one of the things I'm trying to tell people, is that pivoting takes time, and you've got to get patient. And you also have to stay consistent. You can't be on and then 2 days later you quit, because you got to let go. And when I say let go, which means you got to let go of the outcome, the heavy attachment to the outcome. I hope it works. I hope it works. What if it don't work though? But what if I put all this work in and it don't work? That's a 9-to-5 mentality. That is an employee mentality. That's a take care of me mentality. But I got to let go of the outcome in order to. I have to let go of the outcome in order to get to the other side and look at my consistency. And knowing that, okay, it's going to be a little while, because I have to be patient enough for my ideal client to find me. And my ideal client times 10, my ideal client times 20. Everybody that comes to you is not going to be the ideal client. That's why you have to keep your eyes around you on social media or whoever, and just start to continuously have conversations with people. But then you also are developing an audience at the same time. I don't care about what you ate for dinner. Tell me about the results. I don't care about the milkshake that you having, or the recipe for banana bread. I don't care about that unless you teach them about banana bread. Teach me about the concept about what you're doing in the business, so I can make sure if I want to pay you or not. Oh, I'm at the park and I'm just skipping down the park. No, I don't care about you skipping down the park. What is that $3,000 program that you're talking about back there? Talk about that more. But people, they like to see. Do they like to see, or do you like to get paid? Here we go with the preach. Because y'all love to use that as an excuse. People like to see me with my and then you going 30, 60, 90 days without being paid. And then you mad. Y'all stop doing it to yourself. Don't nobody care about none of that. Talk about the offers. Talk about what you do. Talk about your client results. Talk more about that. When you talk more about your client results, people start inquiring more because they want to see the proof. I told my clients, like, right now, proof is everything. If you're not trying to get proof, you're not trying to prove your methodology either. You're not trying to prove anything. You're not trying to prove your method. You're not trying to prove your framework. You're not trying to prove the system. All you're doing is getting online yapping. Right now, it takes bravery in order to do this work. You have to be brave. You have to be courageous. I'm just telling you. Get back into the work that people care about so you get paid. Okay? Y'all don't went to sleep on me. Build a community. You got to build a community. You've got to do that. I don't know why y'all fight that. So you got to build a community. Do you have a community? If you don't have a community, you need to build one. I heard somebody tell me, it was a client a long time ago, and she said, Coach, I just feel like every time you put out things, people just buy it. I'd be like, oh, I wish I had that kind of. But I said, first of all, you fail to realize I've been in this game for a long time. That's number one. Number two, I understand process. I understand how people are. I understand psychology. I study people. I study how they move. Some of my, alpha clients over the last, few years, I watched their journey from the first time they bought with me all the way to the results. I looked at that. I watched that. I asked questions. See, coaching is not, I'm just going to be honest. So funny. I ask questions because I want to know the process that they go through within. So when you are pivoting, that's a part of it. You need to know the process within. It's not about you. I want y'all do realize it, right? It's not about you. It's about you from a business model, business structure, business. Does the business take care of you, and do you have the time and the capacity in order to be? Yes, right. But at the end of the day, your dream clients are not clients that cannot communicate. They have to know how to communicate. So when you're asking them questions, they're giving you an answer that's methodical and thought out. They have a leadership acumen. They're developing that. They're developing business acumen. Come on, somebody. Some of y'all signing people into your programs and you are not even paying attention to what you're signing and how and who you're signing. You're just signing them in, but you're not asking questions. That's a part of pivoting. What do your clients need? What do your dream clients want? What are they in the market for right now? And do you have the capacity and the patience and the skill set in order to pivot to keep up with what they want? Your alpha clients are looking for help. And a lot of clients want to stick with you. They want to stick with you. They want to work with you on bigger things and bigger projects. I've had people before say, I work with you on this and I'm all in all the way to the end. But I do want clients to feel good about diversifying their exposure and communities and things of that nature. But in order to understand pivots, you've got to understand the market. You've got to understand, where am I taking people? And am I okay with doing this and being patient in doing so? So once you finish the pivot, you've got to understand, like, okay, now it's going to take time for people to pay me because this is a new level of trust. And whatever mindset or opinion that other people have of me that are not my ideal clients, they can just deal with that. I don't have time to deal with what they think. I only care about those who desire to work with me in some capacity within my business, and it's preferably in the capacity and in the offer that is the best. Did this make sense to you? Did that help you today? So if you know that this economy is acting up, quote unquote, then you're going to have to get on with it. You're going to have to hurry up and get your heal as you go and jump all in. You got to go all in. You don't have time to, oh, let me sit with this. You don't have time to sit anymore. Because what are you sitting on? What are you sitting on? You got to let go of these excuses that's scripted somewhere. It's the same stuff. It's the same. I'm going to sit with this, sit with this, sit with this. You're sitting with nothing because you're sitting on fear. That's all it is. And you need a reason to get out of it because you don't trust yourself. It goes all the way back to self-trust. All the way back. And I had to do the work on that. And when you don't trust yourself, that's a problem all in itself. When people ask and keep the problem with, I don't know where to start, or I don't know how to do this, and they keep that for longer than 30 days, that's another underlying problem that they need to sort out. That's a psychological problem and a spiritual problem. When you don't know what to do or where to start with something that you know is going to change your life, and you're sitting with that for more than 30 days, that is a spiritual problem that you're holding on to. Because not knowing is confusion. And confusion is running after something, different coaches, different influencers, different, all these different folks, and looking at what everybody is doing, and you're getting information overload and content consumer crashes. Like your brain starts to glitch because you want to do this, and then you see this coach do this, and then you want to see this coach do it, and then you want to, and some people will pay you and still go and look at other people. And I'm like, how you do that? I don't know. I don't see how that, when I pay you, I'm paying attention to you. As my ADHD is for real. I know how to train myself in. If I'm paying you and only you, and everybody else go blank. Girl, you see someone, so I don't see nobody else. I don't even know what it is. You see what so-and-so doing, girl? He didn't change. I ain't see nothing, girl. I wish him all the best. I don't see how y'all do it. I can't do it. I don't know how to do that. And I guess that's why I've been in the game so long, because when I say I'm paying somebody to do something, I'm paying attention to what you're doing and what you got going on, and I'm sticking to your method, and that's it. When my clients that are focused and they stick to my method, they last. It's the ones that go off the deep end and do all this other stuff and trying to keep up with other folk that ain't paying them, and this thing ain't paying. And then you start questioning the method, and then you start paying somebody else. You paying 2, 3, 4 coaches with different. That's why I tell people in my contract, if you're working with another business coach and I find out about it, that's immediate dismissal with no refund. I'm just telling y'all that up front. So if you in a program and you got a business coach, stick with that business coach, please. Now you can do other things like, you want to do continuing education, or you want to pay somebody to do your, social media stuff. I don't care about that. But if it's another business coach with a methodology that's aside from mine and you're paying me and you're doing them too, because I've seen it before and it doesn't work out at all. And then that person got to quit. Look, that person gonna quit somebody because confusion crashes. I'm just telling you, that's a problem for me because you're not focused. And see, I deal with the entire, and see, coaching deals with the entire person. That's another thing. I'm not a marketer. I let people know that straight up. Do I market? Yes. But I teach skills. I'm a coach. Coaches, true coaches teach skills. They're skill based. When you look at coaches, career oriented coaches, they teach skill sets and they teach holistic. They deal with the total person, especially in their program. So I want to make sure that's very clear. When you look at some of these career-oriented coaches, and I'm talking about coaches that have built a career, long-standing career in coaching. What's his name? He's one of my faves too. Coach Burke. He country, y'all. He Knoxville, Chattanooga. What is his name? Michael Burke. I wish Amy was here because she'll know. She know because she followed him too. One of my clients. I hope I'm not saying it right. I remember he said this long time ago. And he used to have a podcast. I used to love his podcast. He don't have a podcast anymore. He just do reels and stuff. But can't find him. Anyway, he's a coach. And he talked about a long time ago that real coaches conquer mindset. They conquer mindset. Because mindset is where all your belief systems are. And the reason why a lot of times our clients are not getting results, or they struggle with getting results, is because it's a mindset flaw. So it's a mindset gap that they're not connecting with belief in the self, belief in what they're doing, and it's going to work. Self-trust is the biggest thing. The core is the core of why a person doesn't do what you want them to do. And self-trust is tied to a series of stories. Come on, somebody. It's a series of stories that they have held over time. Their intent is to change. Hey, Latif. And they just don't change, and they don't move forward, and they don't act because of these stories. So even when you are pivoting, think about all these different psychological and mental health, mental stamina, performance problems that you are going to have to rework and rewire in your client. Because people are scared. They're scared of letting go. This is also why not every coach, but most coaches, now they're pivoting to more diversified offers. I'm not talking about all coaches, but many of them are. Because they recognize that people have to trust themselves at different levels. I've had clients to pay me over time, and this is aside from when, apart from going high ticket, when I started going diversified back in 2022, I saw people that went from paying me $47 for a workshop all the way up to having a life cycle spent with me to $11,000, $12,000 over time, because they kept enrolling into things. They kept coming to different things. They kept signing up for different things. But it started with that $47 thing. It started with following me. It started with following my content. Once you start following the content, guess what? And it resonates with you and it resonates over time. You're going to see results over time. You see what I'm saying? I had a client, I don't know if Tiana's here, but I had a client that she knew me for a week and said, I'm going to go to the matriarch. A week, not 2 years, not 3 years, a week. So whatever I said in that week pulled something within her. And I tell people that was one of the clients that come out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting her. So I'm saying this to say, pivots can be hard if you allow them to get to you. But it's also about staying focused and having a system to comfort you in the pivot. The pivot, you have to take care of yourself in the pivot because the pivot does take time, but you have to take care of yourself in the meantime and keeping your why in front of you, your purpose, your values, your goals in front of you. Okay. Did this help you today? Did this help you? Do you feel a little bit more clear? Do you feel a little bit more empowered? Do you feel inspired? How do you feel? Very good. Very good. We do have the masterclass coming up on this Thursday. It is $47 to come through. We're freeing the woman that never grew up so she can go and build these businesses and make this money. Amen, somebody. That's coming up on Thursday. So if you have a lot of hangups in your life and you need to get over this stuff and something is holding you back, matriarchs do not pay. If you are a current active member of the matriarch, that's a part of your package. But if you're not and you want to come in, look at the link in the caption and get your seat, virtual seat. If you want to join the matriarch, we can have a conversation. Just DM the word matriarch. If you want to join the daily payday intensive, which is going on right now alongside with the matriarchs, it's 8 weeks. You get to keep the course, but we are helping you with daily paydays. That means courses, bundles, trainings, and things of that nature. And we're putting funnels together so that you can get paid on a daily basis and messaging, fixing your messaging outcomes and all of that. Skill-based, transactional outcomes and things of that nature. We need to be able to have the messaging and the content to match so that we can bring people in and they pay. Period. Okay. You got to get people to trust you so they can trust you at the next level. And that takes time. All right. Have a blessed rest of your day. Be good and go make some money. All right. Bye.